Okay, so today we're going to talk about other types of equations, and those are going to be radical equations. So if we first look at this type of problem number 1, we could rewrite this as 4x plus 13 to the 1/2 power. That's another way that we could write that. So in order to solve this, what I could do is I could go ahead and I could square both sides. Because if I square both sides, 1/2 times 2, this would get rid of my, and this is 2 over 1, this would go ahead and this would get rid of this. So once I square this, I could go ahead here and I could say that this is going to be 4x plus 13. But what I have to do on this right side is I have to use FOIL. And when I use FOIL, this becomes 4x squared. This would become 2x, or minus 2x, which is minus 4x. And then this becomes plus 1. So I have to make sure that I use FOIL. So now when I solve this, this is a quadratic. So I always want my x squared positive. I always want that positive. Okay, so now when I go ahead and do that, I am going to keep that on that side and I'm going to bring over this 4x. So when I subtract that, that becomes negative 8x. And I also subtract a 13. So I have 1 minus 13, which is negative 12 equals 0. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to factor this. I'm going to try to solve this. I'm going to factor it. And 4 goes into everything. So I can factor this out. So this is x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. When I solve, I'm going to now factor. So I have x and x. I have 3 and 1. I need a negative 2, negative and positive. I could always check it by doing, this is 1x. Ooh, I want it actually. I want a tail right here. Okay, this is 1x. Negative 3x gives me negative 2x. And then negative 3 times 1 is going to be negative 3. So now I have x equals 3 and x equals negative 1. But this is what I'm going to tell you. Whenever your index is even, and so in this case, our index is 2, we always have to check these answers in our original problem to make sure that both of them are answers. So if I check this, if I put in a 3, 4 times 3 plus 13, does that equal 2 times 3 minus 1? So this becomes 12 plus 13, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. Does that equal 6 minus 1, which is 5? Yes, that is correct. So right now we know that 3 is a solution. I also want to check negative 1. So 4 times negative 1, ooh, this is not good right here. 4 times negative 1 plus 13, does that equal 2 times negative 1 minus 3? So now this becomes 4, or negative 4 plus 13, which is going to be the square root of 9. Does that equal, this is negative 2. Oh, and I'm sorry, this would be minus 1 here. I copied that down wrong. But this is minus 2 minus 1, which is negative 3. Now we're just taking the square root of 9. And the square root of 9, we're taking it's called the principal root, which is going to be 3. We're not solving this. So 3 does not equal negative 3. We're not solving this, so we're not doing plus or minus. So this one does not work out. So the only solution for this is going to be 3. So -1 is not going to be a solution. Now, at any point, if this video is going too fast, you can go ahead and pause it. Okay, for example 2, we're going to go ahead. I have the square root of 4x. I'm going to bring over this to this side and this to this side. So I have x minus 3. Now again, I want to go ahead and square both sides. So I have 4x. And then again, I would use FOIL for this. And so we're going to bring this down a little bit. So here we have x squared minus 6x plus 9. So I used FOIL. So if you have to go ahead and if you can't do that in your head, that's fine. You can go through and use FOIL. My x squared is positive. So I'm going to bring over here. This is minus 10x plus 9 equals 0. I'm going to factor x and x. We have 9 and 1, so this is negative and negative. So x equals 9, x equals 1. But again, you always have to check this because this is an even. That's a 2. We don't see it, but that's 2. Since that's even, I want to go ahead and check that. So when I check this, I check it in the original. So I have 4 times 9 minus 9 plus 3. Does that equal 0? So this is the square root of 36 minus 9 plus 3. Does that equal 0? So I have 6 minus 9, which is negative 3 plus 3. Yes, that equals 0. So we know that 9 works out. Now they both can work out. They both don't have to work out. So we do have to check the next one. So now I have 4 times 1 minus 1 plus 3. Does that equal 0? The square root of 4, this is 2 minus 1 plus 3. This is going to be 1. Oh, this is 1 plus 3. That actually equals 4. So that does not equal 0. So 1 does not work out. So the only thing that works out in this case is going to be 9. Okay, so if we go to our next one looks interesting because we have a radical underneath a radical, or square root underneath a square root. So I'm going to go ahead and square both sides. So when I square both sides, what happens is I get rid of this first square root sign. So this becomes 3 times the square root of 2x plus 3. And then this just becomes 5x minus 6. Now I have to repeat the process. Since I have the square root again, I have to repeat the process. When I square this, I have to remember I also square the 3. So this is 9. This becomes 2x plus 3. Now this, I would go ahead and I would use FOIL. So it's 5x minus 6 times 5x minus 6. So I get 25x squared. This is minus 30x, which is minus 60x, plus 36. Now again, I'm going to distribute this. So this is 18x, and this is 27. And then this I can just copy down. I want my x squared to be positive. So I'm going to bring this 18x over here and this 27 over here. So I have 25x squared. Then I have here negative 60x, now minus an 18x, which is minus 78x. And then I have 36 minus 27, which is going to be 9, equals 0. Now I look for a GCF. There's not a GCF. So I'm going to go ahead and try to factor this. If you wanted to, you could go straight to the quadratic formula. These are bigger numbers. When I think of 25, 25 can be broken down as 25 and 1 or 5 and 5. I don't know, maybe we'll try 25 and 1 because 78 is a pretty big number. So if we try 25x and x, now 9 can be broken down as 1 and 9 or 3 and 3. Now, if we just kind of think about, we need 78. Well, we know that 3 times 25 is 75. So if we break this down as 3 and 3, I get 75. Oh, and I get 78. If both of these are negative, then here, this is going to be positive 9. So right here, this works out. Again, if you want to do this using the x method and then factor by grouping, that's totally fine. But then we have 25x minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. X equals 3 over 25. And then here, x equals 3. Now, I'm not going to show this part right here, but when we check this, there's only one that's going to end up working out, and it's x equals 3. Okay, you could go ahead and check that if you wanted to. All right, now for our next one. Again, my index is going to be even, so I am going to need to check this out. Now, this is to the 4th power. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to raise this to the 4th power. I want to raise both sides to the 4th power. So now I get x squared plus 6x. And then 2 to the 1, oh, sorry, it's not to the 1/4 power, guys. I said it correctly, but I wrote it wrong. It's to the 4th power. And then 2 to the 4th power is going to go ahead and that's going to be 16. I need my x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. I'm going to factor. I have x and x. I'm going to try 16, 8, and 2. I need positive and negative. So x equals negative 8, x equals 2. And I would check those. And actually, when I check those, both of these work out. So we're going to use both of these answers. Okay. All right, if we look at this next example, all right, we have a square root on both sides. Let's go ahead and square this again. So on the left side, I just get x plus 4. Now on the right side, it's a little bit more challenging. I have x plus 11 minus 1, the square root of x plus 11 minus 1. When I use FOIL, just take this a little slow. When I use FOIL, my first terms, I have the square root times the square root. That just becomes x plus 11. Now, I have minus the square root of x plus 11 minus the square root of x plus 11. So that's going to be minus 2 square roots of x plus 11. And then I have negative 1 times negative 1, which is plus 1. So I just want to make sure that I do that kind of slow so I don't make any mistakes. So now I'm going to combine. I have x plus 4 equals, on the right side, I have x minus 2 square roots of 11, x plus 11, and then I'm going to combine this. This is plus 12. Okay, let me get the square root by itself, and then let me bring this over here and this over here. So what happens is my x's cancel out, because when I bring this x over here, they cancel each other out. If I bring the 12 over, that's 4 minus 12, which is negative 8. equals negative 2 times the square root of x plus 11. I can divide by negative 2. So I have 4 equals the square root of x plus 11. Now I want to solve for this, so I'm going to square both sides. So I have 16 equals x plus 11. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract my 11. And then I have here 16 minus 11 is 5 equals x. And I would go ahead and check this in the original equation. So I have here the square root of 5 plus 4 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. So this would be 3. And then right here, I have 5 plus 11 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. That works out. Now, let's say this were multiple choice. Honestly, if this were multiple choice, I would just check my x values to see if they would work. I would not go through all this work. Even for a lot of these problems, I would check my x values to see if they work. All right, this next problem, this is raised to the 5/2 power. So what I have to do is I have to go ahead and take both sides and raise it to the 2/5 power. So these cancel out. So this becomes 10 minus 4x. Now I'm going to take the 5th root of 32 and then I'm going to square it. So I have 10 minus 4x. The 5th root of 32 is going to be 2, but then I square it, which is 4. So 10 minus 4x equals 4. Now when I solve, I have negative 4x equals, I'm going to subtract this, negative 6, divide by negative 4, and I have x equals 3/2. And again, I would technically check this one, but I'm trying to get through this video so you don't have to watch it for too long. Okay, it does work. Okay, our last two examples. This next one, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to raise this to the 3/2 power. Now, be very careful. I want you to watch this. Okay, this becomes 5x minus 2. Now, I am going to take the square root of 4, and then I'm going to cube it. But the square root of 4 is equal to plus or minus 2. So I have to cube plus or minus 2. That's very important that you realize that you are solving this one. You're not just checking, you're solving this one. So the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2, so you're going to cube that. So 5x minus 2 equals plus or minus 8. Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to add a 2 to both sides. And you're going to do add a 2, but then you divide by 5. Now I actually want what these answers are. One answer is positive 8 plus 2 over 5. And another answer is going to be negative 8 plus 2 over 5. And actually compute that. So this becomes 10 over 5, which is 2. And this becomes negative 6 over 5, which is just negative 6/5. So my answers are going to be this. Now this I do not need to check because my original problem had an odd number as an index. So if I were to write my original problem, it'd be the cube root of 5x minus 2. I do not need to check those. Okay, my very last problem, what I'm going to tell you, and we did something like this a bit ago, but what I'm going to tell you is I have to solve this. Now, I'm going to tell you, always take the middle term. Since it's a binomial, always take this middle term. I use a. I used a before. I'm going to continue with a. So let A equals 2x minus 1 to the 1/3 power. So always take that middle term, let that equal 2x minus 1 to the 1/3 power. Let A squared equal a 2x minus 1 to the 2/3 power. Now, let's factor this. So let's substitute. I have A squared plus 2A minus 3 equals 0. So if I want to solve this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factor. So I have A and A, I have 3 and 1. I need a positive 2, but a negative 3. So this is positive, negative. So I have A equals negative 3, A equals 1. Okay, the issue arises, I did not start out with A. I started out with 2x minus 1. So I'm going to plug that in for A. So I have 2x minus 1 equals negative 3. 2x minus 1 equals 1. So now I'm going to say 2x equals, I'm going to subtract that over, equals negative 2. Equals negative 2. I just was thinking if I did something wrong. Wait a second. I think I just did something wrong here. What did I do here? I'm sorry, guys. A equals 2x to the 1/3 power. So I need to do, this is what I need to do. I knew I was doing something wrong here. So now I have 2x minus 1 to the 1/3 power equals negative 3. So I have to cube this. So 2x minus 1 equals negative 27. This looks better. And I add a 1. 2x equals negative 26. So x equals negative 13. Now you do not need to check these because my index number would be odd. And then for this, I would do 2x minus 1 to the 1/3 equals 1. And then cube this. And then I have 2x minus 1 equals 1. I add a 1. So I have 2x equals 2, x equals 1. So I have these two answers. Okay, so your homework, you guys are going to go ahead and you will do the next Delta Math. But if you need to go ahead and pause this, please go ahead and pause this and review whatever you need to review. All right, have a great day.